Good morning and welcome to UUCC, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. We are a group of spiritual free thinkers who gather to celebrate life, build community, and better the world. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. I'm Karen Alvarez, your worship associate for this morning, and our service will be led by Dorothy Hoskins. This service is also being live streamed to our YouTube channel. We will plan on continuing with hybrid worship services throughout the church year, so you can join us each week here in person, on Zoom, or later on YouTube if you prefer. If this is your first visit, welcome. We invite you to sign the visitor's book in the entryway. And whether it's your first visit or your 1,000th, we're glad that you came. I have a few announcements to share with you today. Child care will be provided this morning by that fuzzy blue rug and activities over there, so please scoot over if you want to wiggle around a little bit more than in your chair. We will be collecting the cards for joys and sorrows after our first hymn. Please fill them out or type into the chat box on Zoom if you have something you would like to share. In 2 weeks, we will be having our water ceremony, so just get ready for that. And are there any other announcements this morning for the good of the community? As we prepare to be fully together, I remind you to silence your phones and devices. We now enter a space of worship. I invite you to join with me in our chalice lighting words as the flame is lit. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, signs, quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we shared together.
Come into this space with all of yourself, virtually or embodied together. Bring your joy and your wonder, your love and your praising. Bring also your hurting and hardened, broken hearts. Bring your tender doubts, your fears, and your sorrow. Come into this space, you, just as you are, because you're still thinking I'm talking about someone else. And your particular broken parts and soft places aren't really what I mean. Let me be clear. You are welcome here. You, your whole being is welcome here. You, your whole beautiful and breakable, wondrous and messed up, holy and profane being. You, just as you are, all of who you are. Even those sticky, squeaking, hurting, hard to find because they've been buried so deep for so many years, parts of you. You with the wide open hearts, and even you with the stuck shut hearts, longing to creak and crack open just a bit. You are invited to this celebration. Enter in, and may we discover that a community full of other whole and holy beings have shown up too. Please join me as we enter into song with our first hymn, number 66, in your gray hymnal.
And I think, folks, I'm going to just play this through one whole time. I don't know if we do this one a lot, but I'll let you hear the melody all the way through once.
We are a community that holds one another in our celebration and in our pain. We welcome you to share your joys and sorrows by writing them down on the card you found on your chair and placing it in the basket when it comes by you, or by typing in the chat box in Zoom. Know that whatever your heart is holding today, whether shared or not, we are with you.
For our first reading today, we'll have a poem that was one of my favorites when I was a kid. It always made me stop and think because it was about something that I knew was real, but I couldn't see it. This is called Who Has Seen the Wind by Christina Rossetti. Who has seen the wind? Neither I nor you, but when the leaves hang trembling, the wind is passing through. Who has seen the wind? Neither you nor I, but when the trees bow down their heads, the wind is passing by. So ends our first reading.
I know. Now is the time in our service to join together in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts of both time and money support our church in its work. Each week, we would like to spotlight a group or committee and thank them for their gift of time. This week, the group is religious education, as we're planning on getting back together for the more regular fall and winter season. We could use some volunteers for assistance in that area. People interested in finding out more can contact Nancy Reed. 1/4 of our plate collection for the summer season goes to Camp Unirontack. Founded in 1951 by the Universalists, Unirontack is a radically inclusive camp and conference center with a mission to provide an environment that inspires people to explore responsible roles in the web of life through physical, mental, and spiritual challenges. You can give to this morning's offering by placing cash or a check into the basket or by one of the options on your screen. Please make a note that your gift is intended for today's offering. We now gratefully accept the offering. We have a few, mostly joys. In fact, all joys. Jeannie would like to share joy of having her brother Ken and her sister-in-law Nikki with her this morning. Welcome. Ewan is going to Cayuga Lake with his grandma this afternoon. Well, I guess it doesn't say this afternoon. I put that part in. And personally, I am celebrating today with my daughter Andrea, who got married earlier this week. She and her now husband Gavin also got engaged this week and are planning more of a formal ceremony at some point in the future. So I'll drop a stone now for these and all the joys and sorrows left in the silence of our heart. Whatever is in your heart today, we are with you.
Since I believe the children will be staying up with us today, we don't need to send them out, and we don't need to have our Go in Peace song either. So we'll go directly to our responsive reading that we've been using in the congregation. Do they have a copy of this?
I think it's on the screen.
Oh, it's on the screen, okay. I hope everyone can see it on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this church.
The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer.
To dwell together in peace.
To seek knowledge in freedom.
To serve humanity in fellowship.
And that all souls shall grow in time.
With the source and meaning of life.
Thus do we covenant with each other and all.
My main message for today comes from the fact that I have a little poetic streak in me. I think many of us may have had one when we were kids. Think of yourself in 3rd grade or 8th grade, or maybe as a freshman in college when you were being poetic for class assignments, and you maybe thought at the time that you were producing something really, really great and interesting, but somehow later in life you may have decided that you had higher critical values than what your own poetry could attain. And so maybe you've set aside your poetic impulses for a long time, and you've thought, I don't know if I can write poetry. And maybe that's just not something I can do. And in this Unitarian Universalist setting, we commonly quote from a number of poets like Robert Frost, Walt Whitman, and Mary Mary Oliver, who we're going to celebrate today. And I think that this expresses partly my own feelings about nature. I am a humanist. I'm not a theist. I still experience all the awe and wonder and gratitude of the natural world, but I frame it in a different context than you might if you are a person who has a different kind of religious faith. So for me, finding a poem that just kind of carries those feelings without knowing for sure what the specific intention of the poet was, it still gives me a feeling this is what I might try to say for myself if I had the ability. So we're going to enjoy this. You can read along, or you can close your eyes and just listen, whichever you prefer, to this poem, Last Night the Rain Spoke to Me, by Mary Oliver. Last night, the rain spoke to me slowly, saying, what joy to come falling out of the brisk cloud, to be happy again in a new way on the earth. That's what it said as it dropped, smelling of iron, and vanished like a dream of the ocean into the branches and the grass below. Then it was over. The sky cleared. I was standing under a tree. The tree was a tree with happy leaves, and I was myself, and there were stars in the sky, and there were that were also themselves at the moment, at which moment my right hand was holding my left hand, which was holding the tree, which was filled with stars and the soft rain. Imagine the long and wondrous journeys still to be ours. There was something about this poem when I read it that just moved me with its rhythms of words and its little chains of thoughts and its references to things that I could relate to so well, of the air and the rain and the tree leaves. And I thought, well, I wonder, could I write a poem myself and use that rhythm of words and those chains of thoughts like a little scaffold, borrowing from Mary Oliver some idea of what I wanted to express, but writing it my own way. And that's what you'll find on the counterpart on the other side of your sheet. This noon the air sang to me, clearly, lilting, what joy to flow rising up from the damp land, to be carefree once more in the old way in the sky. That's what it trilled as it rose up, scented with green, and burgeoned as a bud of a flower into the clouds and the sun above. Then it was begun. The light gathered. I was sitting on a rock. The rock was a rock with thoughtful curves. And I was beyond. And there were bugs in the grass that were also beyond. In the future, in which future, my right thigh was topping my left thigh, which was topping the rock, which was garnished with moss and the clear air. Imagine the near and common somethings made into us. This is the closest I get to theology, is trying to feel what I feel and express those feelings about the absolute marvelous possibilities of being alive in the world. And now you can think for yourself for your meditation, if you would close your eyes and settle your feet for a minute. You have seen the wind. What was the sail that filled and skipped the boat gleefully across the lake this morning? What was the relief your skin and mind felt as you crested the hill, panting lightly while clouds found their own path across the sky? What was the scent that wafted the promise of rain? For our reading, final reading, we'll just do it one more time. If you would like to, you can read along with your own voice to the poem by Mary Oliver. Last night the rain spoke to me, slowly saying, what joy to come falling out of the brisk cloud, to be happy again in a new way on the earth. That's what it said as it dropped, smelling of iron, and vanished like a dream of the ocean into the branches and the grass below. Then it was over. The sky cleared. I was standing under a tree. The tree was a tree with happy leaves, and I was myself. And there were stars in the sky that were also themselves. At the moment, at which moment my right hand was holding my left hand, which was holding the tree, which was filled with stars and the soft rain. Imagine the long and wondrous journeys still to be ours. Now we'll have our closing hymn, number 73.
Please join me in our words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.